Hello, I'm Dan Kuipers, representing George Washington Carver brand biodiesel, the natural choice. Biodiesel is a fuel that's derived from the natural oils of many plants that are currently found growing in our nation's agricultural centers across the country. Crops such as peanuts and soybeans, even sunflower seeds, contain a high amount of natural oils, all of which can be used to supplement or replace our use of diesel fuel. These transportation and stationary combustion related fuels produce very little to zero carbon emissions, as well as low sulfur and other particulate matter emissions that is a problem of many diesel engines today. Let's take a look at some of the advantages. One of the advantages to biodiesel is that it can be produced using crops that are currently in our nation's food chain. This results in an extra benefit to farmers out there who can result in an extra revenue stream from some of the crops that they may already produce. As we have seen from such things as peanut butter, peanuts contain a high amount of oil. So if farmers want to use some of this leftover material in order to produce a fuel which can be used to strengthen our nation's economy, why shouldn't they? Another great reason that we should be thinking about using George Washington Carver brand biodiesel is it's natural. There are no harmful side effects from the burning of the fuel. There are no harmful or high energy emissions associated with the production and extraction of traditional fossil fuels. And this is important. In today's age of energy independence and uncertainty in the Middle East, now is the time that we should be looking at using natural, American-grown fuels to produce the stuff that we need to power our economy. And that's the last point, the economy. Well, it hasn't been that good lately, so why not try to keep as many dollars as we can inside the United States rather than putting it outside of the United States? George Washington Carver thought this a long time ago. He understood long before any of us else did that there would be shortages of finite resources which are not renewable. Fossil fuel products, coal, oil, natural gas, all being among them. It was in this light that George Washington Carver did some of his most important research on coming up with an adequate replacement, biodiesel. I talked earlier about it, but where can we actually get this material? Well, all the peanuts that we grow right now, and all of the soybeans that we grow right now, all of which have many uses. One of which is completely underutilized, however, is to be able to take leftover residues and or direct shipments of the material and take them to large biodiesel refining plants where we can actually extract the oil and mix it with other common household chemicals that can produce a fuel which is cleaner, safer, and naturally made. But once we've made this fuel, what can we actually do with it? Well, as many of you may know, diesel right now is a fuel that powers many of our combustion engines. Tractors to be used on farms, combines, generators to make electricity when power is out, even cars and trucks can all be fueled using biodiesel to a varying extent. Our nation's dependence on foreign oil has made us very in danger of becoming subject to the whims of other countries and uncertain futures relating to our oil supply. Yet another reason we should be looking at using biodiesel, especially George Washington Carver brand biodiesel, to help fuel our nation. So there's a couple questions here, and George Washington Carver brand biodiesel company wants to help you with both of them. One, where can I buy my George Washington Carver brand biodiesel? And two, what if I want to make it myself? A couple things are important to know here. First of all, that as with all of the other strategies that George Washington Carver has advocated, rotating your crops and keeping a good piece of land is paramount among them. By doing this, you can rotate your crops and with your soybeans every once in a while, and you too can be able to produce biodiesel. It's also important to know that you don't have to use your best land to grow some of these crops. You can use land that might otherwise be on the margins, otherwise be on road property, or land that otherwise is not your highest producing land in order to produce the crops necessary to extract the oil to create biodiesel for you. You can even use biodiesel to create your own fuel for your own use. It doesn't have to be sold and can go directly into the engines on some of the pieces of equipment that you're currently operating in your farm. Another option that we're offering today is the use of the George Washington Carver brand biodiesel setup. And this is a homemade process which doesn't really involve very many complicated chemicals. And I'll be showing you how to do that. But I think, don't take my word for it. Let's look at somebody else who's tried this and see what they say.
In 1898, Rudolf Diesel was granted a U.S. patent for his invention of the diesel engine. But did you know his original intention was for his engine to run off biodiesel? He even marketed his invention to American farmers as a way for them to grow their own fuel.
You don't say.
The process of making biodiesel is quite easy. So easy that you can make biodiesel fuel using inexpensive materials you can buy at the grocery store. Here's how. The three ingredients you'll need are methanol, which is used in a common product for removing water from your fuel lines, sodium hydroxide, commonly known as lye, and any type of vegetable oil. You'll want to work outdoors in an open space with adequate ventilation, and take proper precautions such as wearing gloves and protective eyewear, and of course, don't sniff or breathe the fumes. In other words, use common sense and follow the same precautions listed on the labels.
For insurance reasons, I'm
use a
using
glass
inert
container like
substances.
This one I pre-measured, and add 1 cup or 250 milliliters of methanol. Then add 1/2 teaspoon of lye. Use an airtight lid and swirl or stir until the lye is completely dissolved. Next, use 4 cups of new vegetable oil. Heat the oil to about 60 degrees centigrade or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Use the funnel to pour the heated oil into a 2-liter plastic bottle, then add the methanol lye mixture. Tightly close the lid and shake vigorously for about 20 seconds. Through a process called transesterification, you'll see a dark layer of glycerin forming beneath a lighter layer of biodiesel fuel as the trans fatty acids in the oil are stripped of 1 molecule of glycerin, which is replaced with 3 molecules of alcohol. Over the next couple of days, you'll see your biodiesel become clearer as all the glycerin settles. Biodiesel fuel will work in any modern diesel engine without any modification. It has substantially reduced carbon emissions and will better lubricate and extend the life of engines over petrol-based diesel fuel. Biodiesel can be made just as easily from used oil, and with over 30 million gallons of waste oil being generated by fast food restaurants, it only makes sense that we put this to good use. There are a growing number of individuals around the world that do just that, and run their vehicles off of nothing but homemade biodiesel fuel. Rudolf Diesel was a visionary, and it's good to see his dream finally being realized. He stated, "The use of vegetable oils for engine fuels may seem insignificant today, but such oils may become, in course of time, as important as petroleum." Pretty amazing words spoken almost a century ago.
So there you have it. Biodiesel can be a solution, and it's not difficult to make. You can do it yourself, you can do it with your friends, you can even do it with your wife. The next question you've got to be asking yourself is, where do I get George Washington Carver brand biodiesel? Well, you can call 1-866-BIODIESEL. And the phone number again is 1-866-BIODIESEL, or you can go online at www.biodiesel.com. Also, many participating fuel depots currently are selling biodiesel in varying degrees, rated at B1 all the way up to B100. George Washington Carver brand biodiesel supports the environment and thinks that what we do for our energy future is going to be of the utmost importance in the world that our children have to live up in. In this line, George Washington Carver brand biodiesel is also developing 2 new lines of products as well for different use and applications. One of which is the George Washington Carver brand densified fuel pellet made from hulls of peanut shells. These particular products can be used to substitute as whole log requirements for fireplaces around the country to avoid in deforestation and unsustainable harvesting practices. Another line of product that George Washington Carver brand biodiesel company hopes to be developing soon is the use of, again, a densified pellet material, much smaller in use, which can be used in pellet-fired stoves and can also be used from the residues of the peanut shell, compressed and densified to almost a complete dryness to result in complete combustibility and high heat output. A third product, kind of going through the R&D stage right now, is also a combustion-based device, which is something called biochar, which is the remnants of partially combusted peanut hulls These peanut hulls actually go through a process known as gasification and produces an inert biochar material, which can be used as a soil additive to increase carbon stocks within the soil. I hope that you've enjoyed our presentation today of George Washington Carver brand biodiesel, and that hopefully we'll see you soon, either at the fill-up line or online placing an order. Thank you very much. Again, the phone number is 1-866-BIODIESEL, or visit us online at www.biodiesel.com. Thank you.